You know, at 13 years old, you could not have paid me to share my diary with anyone, let alone the New York Times. But that's exactly what three brave teenage girls in Maryland have done. Take a listen.
I've been feeling good lately. My relationship with my mom has gotten better. I feel like adults treat me a lot different now that I have a boyfriend.
I woke up today, I put on these gray sweatpants, Billie Eilish shirt. I'm feeling much less overwhelmed this week.
The main thing that I've learned is that do not waste too much time on social media.
I'm Addie.
I'm London.
I'm Anna. I'm finishing up middle school near Denver, Colorado, and this is what being 13 is like for us.
Now, through voice notes, diary entries, and social media posts, these girls share an inside look of what it's like to come of age in the age of social media. The piece is called Being 13, and the journalist behind me joins me right now. Jessica Bennett is a contributing opinion editor for the New York Times, an author, and an adjunct professor of journalism at NYU. Thank you so much for being with us, Jessica.
Thanks for having me.
I understand this project has been went on for about a year or a little bit over that. I mean, how'd you get a 13-year-old to talk about some of, what's probably the most private moments, or it feels like, the end of the world for them?
I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head. I would not have wanted to share my 13-year-old diary with anyone. In fact, I found my own diaries a few years back and trashed them all, which I regret, of course. But, these 13-year-olds were really brave. They were really honest and open and unfiltered about what they were going through, not just the good parts, but some of the messy parts too. And so it took time, but over the course of a year, they really opened up and shared their lives with us.
Now, you're probably younger than I am, but certainly we did not have to grow up under this big lens of social media. And, I think the closest I probably had was like MySpace or something like that. I mean, that has got to be a big game changer here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an underlying anxiety at all times, even if you're not allowed to be on these platforms. The reason we chose 13 is because that's the age that you are legally allowed, according to these social media sites, to join their platforms. But for girls, it's also the age at which self-esteem and self-confidence tends to dip. So we were really interested in how those two things intersected. And, I remember being 13. This is an incredibly hard time. There's hormones, there's friendships changing, there's so much going on. And then to do it with the threat of an audience or the idea of an audience at all times is just a real game changer.
I know cyberbullying is obviously something a lot of parents are concerned about and talk about. Talk to me about how these young girls navigate that at all.
It's interesting because you can put all the controls on your child's phone. You can, not allow them to join certain sites. But the reality is, because so many kids are on their phones and using these sites, you can't really escape it. But I think that probably the best advice I heard from, a combination of parents, teachers, and the girls themselves is really having open conversations, understanding and speaking openly about the idea that not everything you're seeing online is reality. This is curated, it's filtered. And so if something's making you feel bad about yourself, recognizing that and asking yourself what it is and considering putting that phone down.
What kind of change did you see in these girls over the year from when you started to, through the year as the project wrapped up?
Well, that was just so amazing because you don't realize, or maybe you forget, that 13, they're going from being girls to, teenage, young adult women. And so the amount of maturity, the way that they articulated themselves, and just physically the way that they changed was so remarkable from start to finish. And so, we weren't even thinking necessarily about that when we chose this age, but to look at the photos of them from the start of the project compared to the end of the project, it's like a little girl and then a young woman.
What were, I guess, if anything, surprised you as you were following these three girls?
I didn't exactly know what to expect, but I think one of the things that was surprising is just how self-aware they were. You know, not every kid is going to be this aware. And of course, we chose girls who we felt like were going to be comfortable opening up. But even as they were using these platforms and even as they were scrolling and knowing that they were spending too much time on them, they were also consciously aware that sometimes they needed to go outside. Maybe they needed to put that phone down. Like maybe this wasn't healthy for them in some ways. But it was almost like this cognitive dissonance where they couldn't quite get off, and yet they knew that in some ways it wasn't great for them.
Well, speaking of that, I think we have a soundbite from Addie talking about what it's like being away from her phone.
I just feel like I need it, you know, like it helps me get through the day and gets through the week, gets through a lot of stuff. I have like a very close connection with it. Not having it does make me more anxious because you literally never know. I don't even have anything bad on my phone. It's just I get really anxious. It's like separation anxiety.
Now, Jessica, you know, I know a lot of young people in my life. My husband's actually a high school teacher, and it's like these phones are like security blankets for young people.
And like a friend, I mean, she's describing it as separation anxiety, like it's a human. But the reality is that is where a lot of her connections and her friendships are happening. They're happening inside the phone. So, you know, one of the parents involved in this project said at one point, it's such a love-hate, like it's such a give and take, because I feel bad in some way taking the phone away from her or preventing access, because it's where she feels connected to her community and her friends. And yet at the same time, it completely affects her mood. And so how do you balance those things? And I think that's something that a lot of parents are really struggling with and trying to figure out how to navigate.
Well, speaking of parents, you know, I mean, we hear from these young ladies through your piece how they connect with their parents. And I'm thinking as a parent on the outside, like, how do you even enter this world that's already so perilous for the young people involved themselves?
Right. And I mean, that's the thing, too. It's not all bad. There are communities that people are finding. There are like-minded individuals. But I think it's really tricky as an adult because the kids know more about technology than you do. So like they're always going to be 3 steps ahead. They're always going to find a way around it if you're preventing access. And so that's why I really think that open communication, and probably your husband could speak to this as a teacher, but open communication with kids about what they're seeing, about how it's making them feel, about, you know, here, we don't really feel comfortable having you on this platform, and here's why, is really one step toward a healthy relationship.
One of the things we've been hearing about recently a lot in news headlines is media literacy and navigating what kids can and cannot see online and how they use their cell phones and where they use their cell phones. Given all of the reflections you take away from this particular piece and the project itself, I mean, do you think media literacy has a I guess, role to play in all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think actually maybe the biggest role, because it's hard to control everything else. And, you know, with every story like this, there's always a ton of comments in the comment section. And often it's people saying, you know, just take your kid's phone away, just ban them from all of these platforms. But it's just not so simple. I think we have to talk openly about why these platforms can be harmful, the fact that it's not all harmful. There are some good things that come out of it, but really understanding that there's a lot of false stuff there. There's a lot of misinformation. You know, that person you're seeing whose life looks so perfect and so much better than yours is really probably curated and filtered. And so understanding that, you know, you can't necessarily just compare yourself to what you're seeing, because there's a slice maybe of reality to it, but it's not pure reality.
And I'm thinking about like peer pressure, and even that being in real life and also online. We're hearing about these trends where, you know, kids are even dying as part of that. I wonder if you could speak to about, you know, how these girls manage that peer pressure piece online.
Well, you know, look, it's popular for us in the media to pick up on these TikTok trends where like one bad thing happens. And in some ways it reminds me of like when I was a kid and people were talking about rap music.
That's right.
Or kind of every generation has this panic. And sure, we should take these things seriously. But I also think that we have to understand this isn't everyone, and that there are healthy ways to engage on these platforms. And so part of the reason why we wanted to do this project was to really put some depth and some faces of real people behind these headlines that you keep seeing, because they're coming out, multitudes day by day, and studies, advice, conflicting diagnoses, like all of these things. It's hard for parents, I think, to know what to believe. And so what we wanted to do was really give a glimpse into how this really does play out for real teens over 1 year of their middle school life.
Another question I had is, since you follow the 3 girls, will you be following 3 boys at all in the next installment?
It's a great question.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have suggested that, and I think it's a great idea. We wanted to focus on girls for this project because we know that their self-esteem tends to drop right around this age. But absolutely, this is not just affecting girls. I think boys have their own specific struggles with social media, and all teens and all parents are facing this. So I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely. I guess, in the final minute or so we have, what do you hope that folks really take away from reading this work, from the project that you all have been working on for a year now?
I think that it's complicated, It's not as simple as banning all platforms. It's not as simple as taking away your kid's phone, but there's some complexity to it. And I think really what we can learn is that open conversation is probably the best way to go.
Jessica Bennett, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.